Hello everybody and welcome to my little slice of heaven, the prop shop. What we're doing now is the second part of a two-part series on how to build a zombie in your basement. And let me show you what I got going on here. I took the liberty to prep a lot of stuff in advance because for those of you who watched the last video, apparently 45 minutes is just too long. So I'm going to try to cut this down, if at all possible. You can see that I've already prepped the zombie. Put blue painter's tape all over his teeth and his eyes. It's just easier to do it that way because we're going to paint the entire thing black, and scraping black paint off an eyeball is a bitch, as we all know. I've got the hands ready to go and prepped, and we'll talk about how I made these a little bit as we move forward here. I've got all my cotton laid out and ready to go because we're going to have to latex these after we put them on, and I'm going to put these on using pieces of dowels and hot dowel and hot glue, just by hot gluing it, sticking it in there. Well, you get the idea. Mold Builder Latex, flat black spray paint, hair dryer, and I do recommend that you ask your wife before you use this. I learned that the hard way. We got black duct tape and blue painter's tape, and a complete variety of brushes and paints, and you never know when you're going to need it, so I got the heat gun too. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so probably the thing I get asked about the most of anything is how to make hands. And hands are like the plight of the haunter's existence. But I came across this, like I said, on the segment on Haunter's Hangout. And it's been years and years and years, but I've kind of taken it and run with it and gave it my own ideas. I really like these as hands. And let me tell you how I do this. You take a piece of PVC and you're going to drill 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4 across there, and then drop down one to the side here. You're going to take a piece of clothes hanger. A reasonable thing to use instead of clothes hanger, it's pretty cheap, is this stuff right here. It's a little thin, but it gets the job done. Pick it up at any Home Depot. And you're going to measure from your finger to your wrist and then add 1 inch. The reason you add 1 inch is because you're going to have to bend that and then loop it around the end. As you can see here, each one of these has a loop. It holds it in place. And then all I do is bend the end down, stick it in there. And you can even form a little hook so it stays in. And then you duct tape basically the shape of a hand. The tubing will be straight like this, and I come back and I cut the tubing with a razor blade at the knuckles, and this makes it extremely posable even after you've latexed and cottoned it up. And tell you the truth, that's pretty much it. You know, now you're ready to cotton and latex. I built this handy dandy little stand, and I doubt it's in focus. And all this does is it makes it hands-free so that I can do the cotton and latex the way I need to, and everything seems to work out okay. And I'm going to do that now and then come back after it's finished and show you basically how I did that and what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so I've got the hands all latexed, and I wanted to show you this before I got any further. Basically what I did is I took a strip of cotton and I wrapped it around each knuckle. And then I just did your traditional, typical latex and cotton cover-up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with a knife, and I'm just going to tap the knuckles. And one of the great advantages to using latex is however it dries is how it's going to stay. Now you can't really see what I'm doing right now, but when I go back and dry brush it later, all these lines, they're going to show up perfectly and it'll look just like knuckles. One thing to note though, on a sidebar, is I think people pay way too much attention to detail if it's going to be in a haunted environment. I mean, seriously, it's going to be dark. The last thing that people are going to look at are the details on the thumbs. But, whatever. I also went back, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but I put fake nails. Don't ask me what I'm doing with fake nails in my basement. Personal. But I put fake nails on there while it's still wet, and what's going to happen is it's going to dry and the latex is going to adhere to those. And I'll go back and scuff them up, maybe with some sandpaper, and make them look all nasty later on. And these should be satisfactory hands. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put a hair dryer on them, because I'd like to get this project finished tonight. We'll attach them to the skeleton here, and we'll go from there. Ta-da! Alright, so here we are. We're pretty much ready for paint. To review, I have completely covered the eyes and the parts of the teeth that I don't want to get spray painted black. There's the chest. The arms I'm going to leave unfinished because I'm going to have a long sleeve shirt and I realize it doesn't really matter. And here's the hands. What I did is I cut the hands off and then attached them with a dowel and hot glue into the other piece of PVC. And they're pretty close to dry. If I wasn't in a hurry, I'd probably let them dry a lot more. Some of the nails did peel off, so I reattached them with hot glue. And so now, the next time you see this guy, he is going to be completely black, and we're going to start dry brushing. What we have here is our guy painted completely black. I'm going to focus in on the head. Now I've got my color wheel, my paints lined up with browns and grays and whatnot. And we're going to start the dry brushing technique. Let's see if you can see this from here. I like to keep a paper towel to kind of keep the brush dry, and I've got this very dark brown. You probably won't even be able to see it from where you are. And I'm just going to do a quick, all the way across layer of this super dark brown. And this is kind of the base for everything. And I'll go across the chest and the neck. And like I said, I'm keeping it pretty dry. And like I mentioned in this segment, the faster you move the brush, I guess the less it gets down into the crevices and more of the color you pick up. And I'm going to keep on doing this lighter and lighter and lighter. And I'll work on this for a while and come back in a second after this dries. And I'll show you the lighter coat on the chest, because that's where you're going to be able to see it the most. And that's where it's going to matter the most. So believe it or not, after just literally a minute with a hairdryer, this stuff's ready to keep on painting. And I've got a coat that's probably lighter than I would usually go next, but I want you to be able to see this. And I'm also going a little bit heavy on the paint. But now you can start to see the definition coming out in the chest. Hit the neck real good. And it's starting to turn a little bit brown now, kind of a cocoa or chocolate brown. And like I said, I'm probably going a little thicker than I would normally go. Just because I want to rush the process along. But the next time you see this here in just a couple of minutes, it's going to be dry. The hairdryer does it very fast with acrylics. And from there, I think I'm going to go super light. So in between now and then, I'll go ahead and do the face and the hands and come back, and we'll kind of focus on the chest area because I think that's where you can see things the most. And we'll get all these base layers down so we can start with the, the meaty bits, the nasty red, and have it all come out. It's going to be beautiful when we're done. So, all right, so we'll stop here. I'll dry it off and we'll go lighter even still.